to my lecture series. This is Muthuminal R, Assistant Professor from the Department of Agricultural Engineering at SNS College of Technology. Today we'll dive into a new subject, disaster management, for the students of final year 7th semester at Agricultural Engineering Department. Today we'll see the topic under disaster management. What is disaster? Under the unit Introduction to Disasters. We all do know disaster. Am I right? Disaster is nothing but a sudden event causing significant damage to life. So here, why I am specifically taking disaster that is relevant to agriculture in the sense, it is a sudden event that will cause damage to the life, property and the environment at the agricultural field alone. So here I have shown you some of the disasters that can happen for agricultural engineer people. That is droughts, locust swarms, floods, wildfires, cyclones. Here I'll state you a very common example, and everyone would have seen a film acted by Surya. Am I right? In that film, they have shown you bigger kind of swamps will come and get infestation happens to the crop by devouring it, and also these insects will create certain disaster to the crop yield. So in order to avoid these kinds of things, we have to take certain measures under Disaster Management Prevention Act. So that is why I'm specifically taking the disasters that can happen relevant to agriculture as I shown here. We all do know what are the disasters, like what is a drought, what is a flood, but here what we have to do in the sense, we have to relate ourselves, if this happens at an agricultural field, what are the measures that we have to take. So if there is a prolonged abnormal low rainfall, then what we have to do, we have to take measures up in creating some watershed planning, and then we have to use that watershed planning covered water for the agricultural purposes. So with that we can reduce the impact that has been caused under the disaster named drought. So this is what we are gonna do today. So why disaster management matters in agriculture? Agriculture, we all do know that it is very unique and vulnerable to climate change under the extreme weather events. It can cause the immense losses, and also it can cause threatening the global food security and farmers' livelihoodness. As I have shown you in this pie chart, agriculture is the main basic need for satisfying our basic necessities. What are our basic necessities? As we all know that we are in need of food, water and shelter. So the first thing that we have to satisfy in order to lead a peaceful life is food. So to meet out the requirements of the food level, we have to be sure that the food production is in continuous process way. If there is any impact due to immense loss or anything, what will happen in the sense, it will majorly impact the global food production, and also it will lead to security losses and farmers livelihoods. So this is why we are specifically relating ourselves to the disaster management. The impact of disasters are from typhoons in Southeast Asia to the droughts in Africa and flood in India. Disasters inflict significant economic and long-term damage on agricultural system worldwide. So here I have given you specifically whatever happens anywhere, any kind of natural disasters will have a small impact in our cultural area. So here I hope everyone would have heard of a flood occurrence under Madurai area, Madurai and Theni area at southern part of India, Tamil Nadu. So in that most of the spices and cauliflowers and everything have been cultivated by the farmers due to the intense higher level of rainfall. What happened in the sense, all the waters have been turned into a flood and has occupied the field where the cauliflowers had been cultivated. We all do know that cauliflower is a very sensitive plant, and what happened there in the sense, due to the stagnant water that was available, the cauliflower has been prone to get spoiled, and the food that has been produced have been deteriorated, which has caused you a very bigger impact for the livelihood on of the farmers, and also it has given you a very brief loss on food. So this is why we have to make sure that even though there are going to be any kinds of disaster or anything, we have to make sure that the impact of that disaster must not be more at agricultural system, because it will create a greater cost and reduce the production of our food. So the phases under disaster management are preparedness, response, mitigation and recovery. This is very common phases. That is, we have to assess the risk that is going to happen, and we have to give early warning signs so that we can take up some productive measures in order to avoid the disaster that can happen, and also we can conserve the soil or resilient crop varieties and water manage them. And along with this, if the disaster has already happened, what we can do in the sense, emergency actions and the rapid resource mobilization can be taken care of under the response phase, and then after inflicting everything, we can rehabilitate of land and replanting and infrastructure repair could be done under the recovery phase. These are certain disaster preparedness strategies. For the agricultural disaster preparedness strategies, what we have to do in the sense, we have to consider four main potential plans, that is land and water management, stockpiling the supplies, we have to maintain the health of the livestock, and also the fourth one is we have to provide some support systems. Under land and water management, here what we can do in the sense, we can conserve the irrigation practices and tillage practices with the help of water managing practicing systems. Under stockpiling supplies, we can store the feed, fuel and fencing materials for emergencies, so that if there is any kinds of disaster that could impact the farms, could be reduced if these kinds of stockpiling has been taken care of. The third one is livestock health could be maintained by providing vaccination programs and shelter planning. And the last one is by leveraging local knowledge and government initiatives to the local people and farmers to make them claim the support programs which has been given to reduce the disaster impact on the farms. The next that we have to take into consideration is technology and innovation that will help under the management of disaster. Modern technologies usually play a major role in disaster preparedness and response for the agricultural system. Here, I have given you four considerations. The first one is early warning system. Here, this will help us to utilize the meteorological data and the technology tools to communicate with the farmers who are at those kinds of surrounding areas. The second one is utilization of remote sensing and geographical information system for the purpose of hazard mapping and crop monitoring. The next one is sensor networks, which helps us to track the soil moisture and also the weather conditions. The next that we have to take into consideration is mobile applications, which will help the farmers to alert and take the measures to make them aware of disaster that has happened in the near future, and also what they can do if that impact of disaster happens. So these are certain things that we have discussed today, and the summary and takeaway for this session is going to be key risk, that is disaster poses a very serious risk in agriculture. As an agricultural engineer, we have to play a crucial role in risk reduction, so that we can integrate the approaches like preparedness, response, recovery and mitigation as a four key phase techniques that we have to take care of under maintaining it. We can also use the future technologies and local strategies for enhancing the resilience. Um, Today's activity will be on what steps can agricultural engineer take to improve disaster preparedness in your local community. Let us discuss on this question at the next class. See you at the next class. Thank you.